It is game week for the Baltimore Ravens. They take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. And we talk about why the revenge notion of the game after the AFC Championship loss for the Ravens might not be the right one. All that and more coming up next year on Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for being here on this Monday, this game week, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day. Free and available for you, as always, all podcasting platforms, video form on YouTube, audio form, wherever you get your shows. Monday through Friday, Ravens content. We do bonus episodes, live editions after every single game, big Ravens news. We have it all for you. Ravens coverage for this 2024 season. And, of course, any other time you need that Ravens content, we're here for you. Today's episode of Locked On Ravens is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. PrizePicks, run your game. Man, I am so excited. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for. The Ravens and the Chiefs open up the 2024 NFL season this week, just in a couple of days. And, I mean, how else can you be feeling right now? I'm pumped. I'm hyped up. And, look, I know that the song is Wake Me Up When September Ends. No, you got to wake me up when September starts, because that means it's the start of football season. And obviously there are a lot of emotions that are going to go into this game against Kansas City. Obviously a rematch of the AFC Championship, a game which myself and I'm sure many of you watching and listening, many of us have ended up just trying to, put it in the little memory bank, lock it up, and never think about it again. But unfortunately, that's not how it works here. The Ravens, there's this notion of revenge. And the Ravens players talked about it on Sunday as they gear up. Again, it's a little bit of a shorter week. We're starting off with the short week. And so the Ravens did practice yesterday on Sunday. We'll talk about what ended up happening. But this whole thing of revenge, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, not so fast. Because everybody's talking about, this is a revenge game. I've never really viewed it that way. If you've listened to me every day on Locked On Ravens, you've heard me say that. And the players certainly feel that way as well. We'll also talk about Ravens. They're healthy right now heading into the game. That's really big. And then also some soft season predictions. I think we're going to get more into the prediction business tomorrow, but I do want to lay out a couple of ground predictions to start here. So we'll get to that in the final part of the show. Let's talk about what, those players like Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. It was a very strong notion of, hey, this isn't really a revenge game. And it feels like that's the mood of the players. And we'll start off with Lamar Jackson, who everybody is, he's a guy that the playoff thing, that's real. And everybody's talking about the playoff performance and, he needs to be better. And the regular season doesn't matter. And the regular season doesn't matter in terms of, if you lose in the regular season, it's not going to end your year. But you do have to have a strong regular season, something that, look, the Ravens are. But here's how I kind of put it. The regular season, everybody knows the Ravens are a good regular season team, right? It'd have to take a lot for them not to be, especially with this roster. It's in the playoffs when everything counts, though, and you got to be better then. But Lamar ended up talking about, is this a revenge type deal for him? Is he going in there with the mindset of, this Kansas City game, you lost the AFC Championship. Is it a revenge thing? And he was asked about, is it on your mind? Revenge. And he said, any game I play in, I feel like it's a revenge game. So I'm not just going to look at this game like it's a revenge game. Anybody we've played, no matter if we beat them or lost them in previous years, I just want to win. And he was even asked about his reaction, seeing the Chiefs on the schedule in week 1. And he said, quote, I'm approaching it like any other game, but it's the start of the season. So we have to make a great impression for the first game of the season. So that, Lamar is full steam ahead for the year, right? No looking back, full steam ahead. Roquan Smith was asked about it as well and about the emotions of everything. And he said, look, every year is different. Every year is a unique year. Stuff I've been saying on the show for a while. He's 100% correct there. And if any emotions are carried over from that game, he was asked about that too and said, the guys who were in Baltimore last year, they're going to carry that over into the season. But it's about having that and putting it in your back pocket, Roquan Smith said, because the Chiefs are standing in the way of what they want for themselves now. That's what it is. You hear Brandon Stevens talk about it as well. He was asked during locker room availability, and he had the same kind of thing about, okay, well, yeah, it happened. He said, the Chiefs wide receivers, it's more about himself than them, technique and fundamentals. But also he said last year is last year. Last year is last year. If you remember, Justin Tucker had that big pregame. It was more of a Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes dust up. Justin Tucker was just kind of there, and that whole thing was ridiculous. But he was asked about it, and he said he didn't really want to revisit that. Said that prepare for the game like he does any other. That's the Ravens are going about this the right way, right? There's no bulletin board material of, oh yeah, we're going to come out and we're going to take what's ours, and we're going to go out there and we're going to get revenge for last year. Derrick Henry was asked about him, even just not even playing in the game, obviously, because he wasn't a member of the team. But now we know the big deal of he almost got traded to the Ravens, and there was this whole thing in Tennessee with that not happening. But Derrick Henry said, yeah, he wished he could have suited up in that game. He was thinking about it from the perspective of, man, I was almost a Raven. He was thinking, hey, I was almost in this situation. But the whole notion of revenge, and I will say some of the stuff I've already said on the show before, because, again, the players are echoing this as well. It's not revenge. Even if they win the regular season, it's not revenge. Because if there was a revenge, it would be in the AFC Championship game this year. But even then, if you win the AFC Championship game in 2024, it's not bringing back the AFC Championship game from 2023. It's almost like you want to go back to 2011, 2012 versus 2012, 2013, right? When the Ravens lost in the AFC Championship to the Patriots, the heartbreak, Lee Evans, Billy Cundiff. I'm sorry, I'll duck a little bit because bringing that up obviously brings back a lot of bad memories. So I apologize, but for the sake of using the example, Ray Lewis gave that super inspirational locker room speech after. And he's like, look, there's one champion. We worked hard, made sure Joe Flacco understand how hard he battled to get there. And, the speech was, hey, we're going to come back stronger. We're going to finish the job. And they did it, right? That, if you're talking about revenge, that is the revenge. But people still look back on that as, man, they could have won 2 Super Bowls in a row. They could have gone back to back. And obviously, the Ravens that year didn't have nearly as much turnover as this team did. The turnover came the year after the Super Bowl, and they kind of gutted the entire roster out. But that was the revenge. It wasn't beating them in week 3 that year, right? That was a hugely emotional game with Torrey Smith and his brother tragically passing away, and Justin Tucker, rookie Justin Tucker, the field goal flying over the upright, and Bill Belichick putting his hands on referees. That wasn't the revenge. No one thought of that as the revenge. That loss in 2012, well, I guess 2011, 2012, right, was so heartbreaking. It was just the way they lost, how they were so close, had essentially the game taken away from them twice on super simple mistakes. One of them actually was a really good play by Sterling Brown. I'm not going to, I'll give Sterling Brown his credit there. But, it's no one looked at that game in week 3 the next season of, oh, well, the Ravens got their revenge. No one cared. No one cared because the damage was already done the previous year. And everybody was talking about, yeah, well, you know what? The revenge is going to come in the playoffs if they can beat the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl this time around. And they did. So that was the revenge factor here. That was it. It wasn't the game before. It was the AFC Championship game. That's how I'm viewing this. Heartbreaking AFC Championship loss to Kansas City. You're playing them in week 1. It's high stakes, banner, right? It's going to be all these pregame festivities, and, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to sting. I'm not denying that. And a win would feel sweet, but it'd also be like, man, couldn't get it done last year. Man, a little too late. But you know what? It's a great start to that season this year. Be a heck of a start to the year this year. And that's to me what matters. Last year is last year. Brandon Stevens said it perfectly. Last year is last year. It's unfortunate. And if the Ravens win the Super Bowl this year, I'm sure there'll be some people who are like, man, they really could have gone back-to-back. If they beat Kansas City in the AFC Championship to go, then so be it. That is your revenge. The revenge does not come in the regular season. What this game does for the Ravens is it either gets them off to a good start or a bad start. That's what it does. It's not about taking back. You can't take back the AFC Championship in 2023 and say, we're taking it back. No, it's over. It's done. That season's in the rearview mirror. Mike McDonald's no longer in Baltimore. Patrick Queen, Geno Stone, all these guys, they're no longer there. So you flip the page. You have a team in front of you, and Roquan said it there. The Chiefs are in the way of what they're trying to do. The Chiefs are in the way of a great 1-0 start to the regular season against the two-time Super Bowl champions. Be a heck of a statement. Say, hey, we're not letting last year define us. And so to me, the revenge is not in the AFC, it's AFC week 1, big matchup here. No, that's not it. You could argue there's no revenge at all, and it's just a whole new season. But if there was to be it, and look, if you think it is revenge, I understand where you're coming from, right? I'm not saying that you don't have a point or an argument, because I think that there are valid points to it, right? I'm not trying to say that, there's no revenge here whatsoever. For some people, it would be. But for me, for the players, I'm sure for others listening as well, if you're siding with me here, I don't see it that way. And I go back to that 2011, 2012 to 2012, 2013 example. And look, it'd be sweet if the Ravens won the Super Bowl. And it'd be even sweeter if they got through Kansas City to get there. And again, for those that were around for that 2012, 2013 Super Bowl win, they beat the Patriots twice that year, once in that Week 3 game and once in the AFC Championship game. So be pretty sweet to do it that way as well. Coming up for the second part of the show, we'll be talking about the Ravens being healthy heading into the season and what that means for the team and how important it is. So be sure to stay tuned, plenty to talk about here on the show. First, the show is brought to you by Gametime, and I love going to live events, no matter what kind. I have a ton of great memories from sports games, music, theater, comedy, whatever it may be. I try to go to a couple more events per season. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks to make standing tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Plus, there is a 50% off Labor Day offer for Diamondbacks Dodgers, which is a Gametime exclusive. Plus, you have limited availability and supply. Get your tickets while they last. But obviously for Ravens Chiefs, if you want to travel to Kansas City for that game, Gametime has the deals for you. Super deals, other deals as well. And the app has a lot of good features. Gametime Picks, you have all-in pricing. And again, you have to toggle that feature to show the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. So all-in pricing, again, have to turn that on. But also seat views, lowest price guarantee, Gametime ticket coverage, and so much more. Plus, the app is super easy to use and navigate as well. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, spelled LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. And the show is sponsored by BetterHelp. As an adult, there are so many things that I would love to learn. I try to learn something new every single day, but that can be tough. And sometimes there are also things that are lost in childhood. And I'm like, man, I knew how to do that, but I forgot. I want to remember. And look, kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. And what are some things that you would like to learn? Is it gardening, a new language, maybe how to finally beat your best friend in bowling? Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back to school era can come at any age. And therapy has so many benefits, such as learning positive coping skills, how to set boundaries. It can empower you to become the best version of yourself. And it isn't just for those who experience major trauma. It's for everyone. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched to a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. We're back for our second segment, Locked On Ravens. Kevin Oestreicher still talking with you here on this Monday. It is game week, and it is so exciting. Appreciate everybody for being here today, making Locked On Ravens again a part of your day and your first listen. each and every day. Be sure to make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Football. Still going with these Locked On Fantasy Leagues. I got almost 20 of them now, and it's been awesome. I love doing the drafts. Got a couple more tonight. If you're interested, be sure to shoot me a message over on social media. It's a fun time. So Locked On Fantasy Football gives you all the expertise you need to win your fantasy football leagues. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're here 5 days a week for you, Monday through Friday. Those are our regularly scheduled episodes, 6 a.m. Eastern time, but we do go live after every single game. We will have game day episodes throughout the season on Sundays, obviously during the week when it's Thursday night, like this week, or Monday night. Those obviously will just be the regular episodes, right? No need for a bonus one there, but we'll have game day episodes and also maybe a couple of new upgrades over the course of the next couple of weeks. Excited to maybe introduce those once they come in, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But if you know a friend or a family member who wants 5 days a week of Ravens coverage, send them over our way. We have them covered. We have you covered, and I love covering this team and doing it now. This is my 5th season. Actually, it's my 6th season, 5th year. Started this back in 2019. So you got 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. That is 6 seasons, 5 years. So the 6th season doing this, really excited. And let's talk about the Ravens and their health. Let's do it, because I think for this team, health is key for any team. But for Baltimore, after what they have been through for, the majority of the last 5 seasons with their health, they're in a good spot. They have had training camp injuries derail seasons like 2021 when they lost seemingly everybody. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Marcus Peters, offensive line combinations, not being able. And look, guys have missed training camp. Guys have missed time, right? Tyler Linderbaum just shed the non-contact red jersey, so he is back. Lamar obviously missed the beginning with an illness, and Bateman, and there are guys. But the only player absent from practice for the Ravens on Sunday was Adisa Isaac. And that's great, right? It's almost like it's a fresh, clean slate. And there are a couple of misconceptions about the Ravens last year and their health. There are a few misconceptions about the Ravens and their health, one of which being the Ravens were healthy because they didn't have a ton of guys on season-ending IR. It's not true. They were healthy they didn't put a bunch of guys on season-ending IR like they had over the last couple of seasons, but there were a lot of players that missed 3 weeks here and a month and a half there and a month here and 2 weeks there. Right? Marcus Williams had to miss time. Marlon Humphrey had to miss time. Odell, Rashad Bateman, Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum. I could go on and on and on with that list. Mark Andrews, right? There were a lot of guys, but the only players that ended the year on IR for the Ravens season ending were J.K. Dobbins, Keaton Mitchell, and David Ajabo. Those were your 3 big contributors on season-ending IR. So when people see that, they're like, oh, well, the Ravens were healthy last year. When in reality, from a season-ending perspective, sure. But from an actual, hey, guys were missing time and then coming back and then missing time and then coming back, no, they were not. Right? Lamar stayed healthy for the full season. That was great. That was awesome. After missing the end of the previous 2 seasons before last year, that was a great thing. Lamar won an MVP because of it. He was so dominant, and health was a big factor there. I don't think the Ravens, I think that it'll be almost like a clash of those 2 worlds where everybody gets injured. Every team gets injured. There's no secret that injuries are a massive part of football. So to me, I think that the Ravens will probably have some more significant season-ending injuries this season, have more key contributors on season-ending IR by the time the season ends. But I also think that they have less areas where guys have to miss months at a time and then come back. Because I think that from a season-ending perspective, luck is not the right word, but they did get very lucky in only having 3 key contributors on injured reserve for the full season. That's really big. But they were not healthy because, again, Morgan Moses was injured. And you could list off a lot of people. But I think they're going to have less of that, where it's like guys aren't missing that time, but they might have a couple more season-ending injuries. And look, let's knock on wood. There it is. You hear it right there. Let's knock on wood that the Ravens can be as healthy as possible. Right. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Ravens will be injury-free. It's not realistic. And, I try to be objective on this show. We're not just going to come out here and say, oh, yeah, the Ravens are going to be healthy the whole season. It's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's not going to happen. No team will have that. But the key thing to me is continuity. Continuity. So if you do have a couple season-ending injuries, it happens. It happens to everybody. It's already happened to the Ravens with Malik Cam. But when there's a key contributor that goes down, next man up. The big thing for me, though, is the Ravens do have to try, and they're going to, but they have to stay as healthy as possible because they don't have – it's a different type of depth this season for them. I've talked about that before. The Ravens have a different type of depth this season where it's a lot more young guys stepping up into prominent roles, and that means even younger guys are stepping into those other depth positions that were previously occupied by those younger guys. So it's no longer you have this luxury young depth of like really solid players. Like, for example, Jadeveon Clowney, Kyle Van Noy were your two veteran edge guys. And then Odafe Owe was like one of your luxury pieces there. If you want to go by, okay, vet and then young guy. But Owe's now stepping into Clowney's role. So now it's David Ojabo, Tavius Robinson that are stepping up into those other roles. So if you lose enough guys in one position, and look, every team does, Ravens will, every other team will too. Can the younger players step up who are stepping into those bigger depth roles instead of having those luxury younger depth pieces or even veteran depth pieces? They went not all in, I guess, but pretty far in on the youth this offseason. Part of it was because you can't pay everybody, right? True, you can't. But for a Ravens team that has Super Bowl aspirations, this has the potential to take them exactly where they want to go, and that's to win a Super Bowl. Or it can backfire like it kind of did in 2022. And, I point at that wide receiver position where the Ravens went all in on youth there. Bateman was 1, Duvernay was 2. They lost both, and it was a disaster. So there's very high risk, very high reward here. I tend to lean on a lot of these young guys are going to step up, but I'd be lying to you if I said that I was fully confident in it completely working. They go 15-2 and, it's all sunshine and rainbows. I don't think that's happening. But health is a key factor, right? Because some of it's just who's healthiest at the end of the season. That can be it. Who has their star quarterback? Who has their star players? Who's lost the least amount of star players? That can be it. The Ravens have shifted their strength in conditioning. They've done a lot of things to try to, maximize their health potential. And hopefully it pays off for them in 2024 because they're going to need it. Like every team does. The Ravens are no exception. They absolutely need it. Coming up with the final part of the show, we'll lay some soft season predictions for the Ravens, talk a little bit more about the Kansas City matchup as we head into that game in just a couple of days, and more. Stay tuned. Plenty to dive into on Locked On Ravens. First, this show is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to pick daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. So, for example, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right, only 1 yard gets you an automatic win in every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. Plus, if you want to play PrizePicks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, MMA champ, Sugar Sean O'Malley, you can now with the community plays under the promos tab of the app to do entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. And for me, I love going on PrizePicks and just looking at what they have to offer. So, for example, if you're looking at that Ravens and Chiefs game, you go in for Zay Flowers for more than 90 receiving yards, maybe Lamar Jackson for more than 263 passing yards. You can go and look at those numbers and what PrizePicks has to offer. Download the PrizePicks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. And the show is brought to you by DK Law Group. When you need a law firm, do you want the legal runaround or would you rather have a no-nonsense approach? Well, you get the latter with DK Law Group. DK Law Group is a Maryland-based law firm who is redefining the legal process with their modern approach. DK Law Group specializes in real estate law, estate planning, business law, and family law. They're tech-savvy. They treat clients like family, and they focus on keeping your legal solutions simple. DK Law Group is a woman-led firm with Diana Khan at the helm. Diana has been called an unparalleled legal expert by some. One of the things you'll quickly notice with DK Law Group is the transparent pricing. They believe in clarity and cost and no one left in limbo. DK Law Group knows that speed is key. By leveraging technology, DK Law Group streamlines the process to serve you better and faster. Contact DK Law Group today at dklawmd.com. Locked On listeners and call today to schedule a free 30-minute consultation when you mention the tagline, Empowering Legacies. We're back. Our final segment, Locked On Ravens. Kevin Ostreicher still here with you. It is game week, and I cannot believe it. This offseason moved so fast, yet so slow at the same time. Appreciate everybody for being here and for all the support. If you're an everydayer, you listen every single day, or at least most of the time, right? I'll consider you an everydayer if you only miss an episode or two. But appreciate all the support for your consistent listening and watching. If you're new to the channel, welcome in. Hopefully you'll stay a while. Hit that subscribe button, both in video form and in audio form, however you're listening or watching. And if you're somewhere in the middle, welcome in and welcome back to the show. Almost at 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's been an amazing journey in video form and in audio form. The listener base continues to grow as well. We're building up great communities, video form, audio form, social media as well. You follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at ChaosShucker34, trying to build those up as well. So a lot of fun content coming your way through the season. Plus, of course, we do not take breaks here on Locked On Ravens. Every single Monday through Friday. This is episode 1,326 consecutively for me, as I mentioned, dating back to 2019 on the weekdays. But let's talk about some soft season predictions for the Ravens. Again, we're going to probably get more into the prediction business tomorrow and do some fun stuff with that, so stay tuned. But I think for the Ravens, they have as good of a shot as anybody this year to get to where they want to go. I do. I think they have the talent. I think they have the guys. I think they have the motivation. It's going to come down to a couple of things, though. One we talked about just a few minutes ago is, can their youth step up? Can the majority of their youth step up? Because we can be realistic. Not every single one of their young guys is going to pan out this season. It'd be a miracle if it did. And hey, miracles happen. So I'm not ruling it 100% out. But I would be pretty shocked if every single young player that they started this season worked out. Now, I also think that it's unrealistic to think that none of them will, right? I think that's probably more unrealistic. But it's going to be some level of a balance. And can you shift that scale to more of a balance to where it'll work out for you? I think that we are going to see a much improved Todd Monken offense. I think that what we saw at the beginning of last season was, I don't think unorganized is the word, but it was a learning process for everybody. I think Monken was learning how to use his personnel. Monken's personnel was adjusting to him. They've had a full year under their belts together. There wasn't really a ton of turnover skill position-wise on the offensive side of the ball outside of upgrading at running back and losing Odell Beckham. So you're bringing back Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, right? You're bringing back those guys. Those are your core. Plus, you now add Derrick Henry to that equation. The offensive line is a whole different conversation. Rightfully so. But I do think that the Ravens offensively are going to put up numbers. I don't think it's another MVP year for Lamar Jackson, but I think that he is in that conversation again. I think the Ravens offensive line struggles for some, if not all, of the year in some way, shape, or form. I think there's steady improvement, and they'll be fine by the end of the season, but certainly not a top unit in the league. I think defensively, there are a couple of areas. I think pass rush, Adafe Owe, I think is going to have a good season. David Ojabo, I think, will surprise some people. To me, I'm hoping that Marcus Williams can stay healthy, and I think he certainly can. But to me, these X factors, I'm predicting the X factors. 2 on offense, 2 on defense, Rashad Bateman, Isaiah Likely. And then I'm going Trenton Simpson, Adafe Owe. Those are the X factors, right? You have your stars. Can your stars do their part? And then can your young guys step up? Because the Ravens are not in the position they were in last season, the regular season, because of their stars. That was a big part of it. But another huge part was because, they had depth step up all over the place. So I'm looking at their depth, their young guys, as key parts of this season. I think that Derrick Henry will have not a career year, but probably his third or fourth best out of his what'll be 9 seasons, a top 3 season for himself. I think Zay Flowers dominates. I think Rashad Bateman steps up and shows something here. I think Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, that split is a little closer than people think. It's not a detriment to Andrews, but just, how good Likely is. I think defensively, we see Odafe Owe not have the just amount of BK breakout, but break double digits on the year. Not necessarily get to 13.5, but get to maybe 10.5. I think there are a bunch of other things. I think Nate Wiggins plays a bigger role than maybe anticipated. I think that Justin Tucker gets back to form from 50 plus. And look, Justin Tucker form, not regular kicker form, Justin Tucker form from 50 plus. And then I think in the secondary, Kyle Hamilton, another All-Pro, nothing too crazy there. So just ripping off some predictions. Brandon Stevens has a better year, gets paid, whether it be by Baltimore or somebody else in the offseason. So plenty of storylines for this Ravens team, plenty of predictions. Again, we'll get more into that tomorrow as the week continues, but also more into that Chiefs game, who, again, by the way, Derrick Henry has been dominant against over the course of his career. So that's all I have for you here today on Locked On Ravens. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, follow along in audio form as well for 5 days a week, plus more of daily Ravens coverage. Coming up tomorrow, more Ravens content as we continue to talk about the Ravens and Chiefs matchup. Stay tuned. I'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On Ravens.